Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Moments with God, where I'm hoping that after watching these videos, there is a greater awareness in you, certainly in me, that there is a need for me to go deeper into my spiritual life and that there is a need to look for God in my day to day life and to have a better relationship with Him. And I hope you're liking the video and also subscribing to them. And please also share it with others so that others also take advantage of it. Thank you. Today, as you see in the background, I have a huge crucifix. It's a huge crucifix. And actually, where it is, it's actually a cemetery where I'm standing, but I am not showing you the graveyards. And you can see that my own picture is rather small because I want to give prominence to the big crucifix here. And why I'm doing that is because today, in the first reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 1st, verses 17 onwards, he speaks about how he is convinced that he is supposed to proclaim the gospel. And what is the gospel for Paul? He makes it very clear in today's first reading. And he says, you see, around him there were people who, according to him, Jews are looking for signs. Greeks are looking for reason or philosophy. You see, he was writing to the people in Corinth. I have been to Corinth in Greece. Now, of course, it's a dilapidated town. There are no people in Corinth itself, but there are people around it. But at that time, Corinth was bubbling town where a lot of good people and rich people lived there, and the Greeks were always famous for looking for reason. They were famous, as you know, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and many other philosophers as well as mathematicians were born in Greece. And Paul was preaching in Corinth, in Thessalonica, his letter to the Thessalonians, that is also in Greece, and there are many other places that he was preaching to. So he is first reckoning to the needs of the people around there. Remember, he is writing this letter 2000 years ago. Today, the circumstances may be different, people may be different, and his epistle as well as the gospel is much more widely spread and it addresses the needs of more people around the world. But one fundamental thing that he preached at that time, and I think it is applicable to all of us today, is the fundamental, basic, essential teaching of Christianity. What he said was that while Jews look for signs and Greeks look for reason, I proclaim crucified Christ, crucified on this cross, which is foolishness to many people. Yeah, this sign of the cross, a man hanging, suffering, half naked or more than half naked, suffering and then dying on the cross. What kind of God is this? What kind of proclamation of good news is it? Is it good news that one should die on the cross? But he says, I am not bothered about what kind of questions people are asking. They are asking for reasons. The others are asking for signs. But we are preaching the gospel of the Lord. And just by the way, I want to mention about these signs. Actually, today too, there are a lot of Christians or people who come to Christianity because they see signs. Yes, there are good signs. Jesus himself went around healing. But many people are attracted to those people who claim that they are healing people. And there is a huge crowd to the healers. Why? Because they are signs. Signs of God's presence or God's healing power, etc. Good. But what Paul is saying is that that is not the only sign of God's presence. Signs are important, but what is this sign of the crucified Lord? And that's why he didn't bother about what Jews were looking for. They were looking for signs. Greeks, they were looking for philosophy, but he was not going to pacify either the Greeks. Of course, he preached to the Greeks, and lot of people he got converted. And he begins today's reading by saying, "My job is not to baptize people, but to proclaim the good news of the Lord and to proclaim Jesus crucified. He is the salvation for us. For others, it may be a foolishness, but God's wisdom is better than man's foolishness." This is one of his very important sentence. And yes, God's wisdom is very different from our own wisdom. God's wisdom is here, hanging on the cross. Of course, it's a beautiful cross. I don't know if you, how well you can see it, because the cross is also white and at the background there is light. So maybe it is not that clear, but if you look properly, it's a beautiful crucifix here in the graveyard where I live. But I hope that you are not one of those who is always looking only for signs, but looking for chance to build a deeper relationship with Lord, where the sign may be of suffering as here on the cross, where a sign may be not having any consolation in prayer, but dryness in prayer, as Mother Teresa experienced. So each one having its own sign if you're looking for sign. But Paul was convinced that he is preaching Christ crucified. I hope you can now subscribe to this channel, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.